All right, g'day, hi and welcome. Okay, Marvin's not in here, so I blocked off Marvin from here. This is his main way sneaking in at night, so I'll have to do a little bit better job, and I'll have to do some stuff down there. And it's drying out down there a bit, so that's good. But I did find some treasure. I found a creeper, guys. It's like buried under all kinds of stuff. Got some treasures in there. Some I don't know if these things are going to work or not, but I got a nice shovel for cleanups and stuff. I found a second side. Look at this. Yeah, I got two of these suckers. Yeah. What else? I found some kitty litter. That can come in handy for cleanups. Yeah, so we'll go through the treasures after. Burning a little bit, not too much. But I got a bin full again. So this is bin number 5 of recycling. And I think I'm on bin number 3 of garbage, which will go out next Monday, right? So anyway, it doesn't look like I know it doesn't look like I'm doing anything in here other than just throwing things back and forth, which there is truth to that. But every time I throw things back and forth 10 times, there's like one bin less of stuff in here that I have to throw back and forth less. But I got some of this cleaned up. That's going out on the next one. Got you, Chippy? He's in here somewhere. I found a freaking black wallet right in the bottom in there. It's like, oh, it's either Chippy or Marvin brought it in. I don't know. Some old clothes, some really old work boots. I don't know whose those would be. I remember wearing work boots like that. They're the worst thing for your feet. All those old guys that have back problems, was those. Went through some of these that were broken. I still got some more that broke. I got to go through them all, but some of them were broken and they were just kind of out here. So I chucked them in there. So that thing's going to weigh a ton. But I can get back to here. The good news is now I can start working in that corner and setting things up, which means I can get rid of, not get rid of, but just start to place things where, for its, permanent spots where I'm going to put stuff. So that's good. That's really good. Got a really good scrap pile of metal. When that metal goes, man, that's going to be a lot. This is a big thing to go. I got to wait for the next large garbage pickup. I don't know if this old generator works or grinder works. If it does, that'd be my grandfather's for sure. I'm going to test it out. It probably doesn't. But if it does, the thing about that is like those things that yeah, you're going to burn a lot of hydro trying to run one of those. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I could probably get a few more jugs and stuff like that out, start getting that stuff out of the barns and stable and stuff, just to start cleaning up. So I don't know if I've got another one of these in here. I'm sure I do. But as like you got to dig down, you move one thing and you find 5 things, that kind of thing. But I went in there really well, and then I threw things over that way a bit. So we'll see. And then there's a lot of stuff here that's mine, like the trapping boards and some of the sporting equipment and stuff like that. The snowboard in there. There's a snowboard in, yeah, there it is right there. And some of that stuff, which this side of the woodshed is going to be like tools and stuff easy to grab. And this side is just going to be all wood. You know what I mean? Like probably from about the wood chute window this way will be all wood. Until I decide the fate of whatever's going to happen here. Something being chewed on in here. I have no idea what that is. It's in there. Whatever little monster's in there making that sound. He's been in there the whole time. Every time I move, he makes a sound. So I'm going to get this corner kind of sorted out and start working my way out. And yeah, but that's kind of what I got done so far today. Found a few more pieces of board and stuff like this to Marvin proof the place. Bugger was right on my counter going after the peanut butter jar again. He got a hold of it last night and started chewing on it. I figured it was only a matter of time before he found it. But he was right there, Of course, as soon as I get the camera out, he's out the window. And it's like you're almost like you can reach out and touch him. And he doesn't care. Like he was up in the tree earlier. I don't know if he's up in his tree. He's usually like on this side of the tree. He has like his favorite little branch or whatever. Yeah, so I don't see him. He's around somewhere. He's doing his Marvin thing. Chippy, I don't know if Chippy survived because Casper was right, and he's a big cat too. He was like right there waiting for him this morning when I came down. He ran away when he saw me. I said, Casper, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to eat your chipmunk. Yeah, I don't trust him. So anyway, I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to go down in there, start. I still don't want to bring out the stuff yet, like all that, but I got to get cracking in there, right? So, but because there's just so much, to take out of there, I don't want to be working on top of it. Like I need to have a spot for it. So I'm thinking it's probably going to take one more bin or whatever. Well, I got to organize a spot for that tin, and then I can bring it out. Then I can really clean the basement. I mean, there's no mad rush. Like I'm way ahead of the game. Like I really didn't think I'd get that far in there this season, but it's so much stuff, and a lot of the stuff, there was a lot of stuff to start with, and then there's a lot of stuff that got chucked in there. Like for example, I cleaned up the insulation, right? So that's got to get taken away and all that. So I threw more stuff in too, just so it's not out in the yard. But one bin at a time. Again, like I'll keep, like even when the snow flies, as long as I can get in there enough to keep cleaning stuff out, no problem. And then I can get to the barns and the granary. That one's going to be a big one. But when I do the metal run, that's going to be that'll probably be next week. After my dad gets back. No moose yet, from what I've heard. I was talking to one of the guy's sons. I said, "Oh, did you hear from him?" He goes, "Yeah, I was talking to my dad this morning." He said anything? He said, "Oh, they've seen signs of some, but they, like they haven't. Nobody's gotten a shot at one yet." So I'm hoping my dad can get a moose. It's just not so much just because of the moose meat, but it's his dream too, eh? To get a moose. I'm just gonna let that kind of drain out. This will be used again at some point. It smells so bad. I mean, there was probably about like 2 years or 5 years worth of whatever in there, so I just been letting it air out. I'm going to use it as a metal bin for like copper and stuff. I found more copper in there. Oh, yeah. I found old paper bags. They would have been my grandmother's, and they were a bit wet and damp, so it's a little bit smoky. But I guess they're burning up. Yeah, so there was no wind. It happens every time. There was no wind when I started it, the barrel, but as soon as they do, it starts to get windy. The other night, there was a big fire in my area. Thank God it rained the past 2 days. Don't ask me how it started. Yeah, I have no idea, but if I had to guess, I think we got one of those people around here. That's kind of scary. So, yeah, so that's all I got left for the brush. These boards here, I got to go through them, see what my lengths are going to be for my sawhorses. I'm going to have to make those pretty soon. I still haven't gotten a hold of the client there I think he gave me a fax number, so I can't get a hold of him for the trapping. I haven't bought my trapping license yet because maybe he found somebody else, or people are like that, right? Where they're like, no, I'll get you, and it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this, and they find somebody else, and you call them back, and they're like, okay, I'm ready to start the trapping. Went and got my license. Oh, that's okay, I'm not gonna need you. I got somebody else, right? So you get people like that. So that's why I don't buy the license till I know they're committed to what I'm going to commit to, right? So, but that's freaking Marvin. Look at that. Chewing on my peanut butter thing. I gotta clean this counter too. I upgraded garbage cans. I found a slightly bigger one, so I went with it. Threw the other one in the recycling bin. So a lot of plastic anyway. No paper at all. All the paper, all the see what the humidity is in here. 63, holy jeez. What I got on the list for today to do is like I divide my time, right? So I'm really excited about the recording. I know some of you guys care, some of you guys don't care. But that is one of the purposes. I got to get this stuff off the floor that I brought down, but I got to get the shop back down here this weekend for sure. I got a little bit of work tomorrow. Thursday, Friday, I have no idea. So it might be another 4-day weekend. But I got lots done last week, for sure. I had 4 days off. I finished up a song. I'm working on Pinto right now. But this afternoon, around 2 or so, I want to start editing and mixing and mastering Crystal Eyes. So I gotta think of a way to make you a video for that song that's something that people are going to watch. You know what I mean? But there's really not much I can do because of the storyline requires. Like I got brilliant ideas for a video, but it would cost me thousands and thousands of dollars to make it, which I just don't have. But the same thing for Pinto. I have a great idea for that one. That one I could use AI. Talk to somebody that's really good with AI or whatever. But I really rather use real people. I don't know. There's something about real people in the video that just makes it, like some people like anime, some people like the AI stuff. The AI stuff is good. Like it's amazing what they can do with it. Like I mean, I don't know if you guys, what's that? Something 44 commercial that you keep seeing. Like they're really pushing that. Whatever, half the people in it are AI. Like that's scary how accurate that is, right? Like if you stare at it long enough, you can pick out the flaws, but it's pretty damn good. The goal, this is the problem with the internet is one of many problems, but is that like the AI people that like the transhumanist type people are really fascinated by something that they could actually do in life. You know what I mean? Like it's like just go do things. Like go do real things, right? So it's kind of you're stuck with this. Okay, everything online is just it has to be digital. It has to be more complicated than it needs to be. We can't just film somebody. We have to create a artificial actor or actress or whatever. Like it has to be complicated. Okay, fine. And it's like because it has to be so perfect. Sometimes the imperfections are perfection. You know what I mean? So for me, I want to make videos that are entertaining. Obviously, it's just I also want to get the songs out there too. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, I'm not going to hang on to a song for 5 years while I'm trying to make a video. No, I just got to get the song out there and see if I can find ways to get it more more entertaining. So most metal bands, what they do is they go out in the bush and they film out in the bush, right? I don't think I'm going to break that mold. You know what I mean? For the black metal song, the only problem I have is I don't want to bring my instruments outside in October when the weather's not predictable and just that temperature flux of temperature, right? But for the song Tomahawk, I think I should be able to do some pretty cool stuff. I'm going to be stealing like black metal ideas for sure. People say, "Oh, you're ripping off Black Braid or whatever." Okay, yeah, maybe a little bit, but the song's different. You know what I mean? Like it's not taking just their stuff. The goal is more about people listening to the music and going, "Wow," you know what I mean? Am I saying that everything I'm playing is like so wow? Maybe not yet, but like the Pinto song, I think people are going to really enjoy the guitar solo on that one and the bass that follows along with it. I think people, it's going to be really tricky to do that. It's not going to be. It's a very fast song. It's an upbeat song for sure. But what the Tomahawk song, I think what you're going to get out of that one is kind of like the dark poetry of it, but the multi-instrumental thing that I'm going to be doing I don't know how long the song's going to be. I played the violin a little bit yesterday to see if I can come up with a theme. I did some like black metal ideas, progression ideas. That okay, it's like something that has to be, okay, yeah, this is clearly black metal, but there's also going to be an operatic part to it. So it's going to be opera black metal. So that's kind of cool. But it's going to be like folk opera black metal. You know what I mean? So you're gonna have you're gonna have a mandolin in there, you're gonna have acoustic guitar in there, you're gonna have a violin in there, maybe some other instruments. You'll keep us for surprises. But the goal is to like really test my abilities too, as a musician, but also to give you guys something really as organic as I possibly can, but to really flex oh my God, he can do all these things with all these different instruments. The instrument that I'm the worst at right now is the drums, just because it's the instrument that I've got the least experience on, right? You know, I'm not bad at the bass. I don't do the slap thing that well, but I'm pretty good. Like I come up with I think pretty cool bass lines. The Pinto one, the bass line's not going to be too extravagant until we get to the guitar solo, and then basically the bass has to kind of fill in as a rhythm guitar, so to speak, and it has to follow the solo enough with melody. So it's going to be a really tricky to get that right. But the guitar solo itself, I think, is the main focus of the song, and it's going to be the debut of the Charvel, which I'm going to have to change my strings on. So I'll probably, I thought I'd be at like I always think that okay, I'll do about 2 hours worth of work and I'll be done, and then I'll just go right to the music stuff. And I never get everything done down here. When I come down on a day, like I'm way over optimistic about what I can realistically get done in a day. But the upside is that I do get quite a bit done, so stuff is getting done. So another bin is going out, and that's going to, help clean up the place. Um, and then at some point, like once like all the barns are clean, the basement's cleaned out, the the woodshed's cleaned out. Okay, yeah, I'll do a little bit of work, like falling trees and stuff like that. I can do that all winter. That don't matter. Just get everything cleaned up, and then springtime, like over the winter, like fall a bunch of trees and brush, and then put it somewhere so I could burn it. The more I fall now, like in the middle of January or February, if it's a nice enough day and I have a couple of piles, I could just start burning brush. You know what I mean? And just burn it all. Like just burn it all. So in the springtime, I don't have big piles of brush to deal with. It's just like okay, no, it's all done. But I have to make my brush piles where I can get to them, which I'm going to make brush piles in the middle of the you know basically I make small like little burnable brush piles, and then just burn maybe one at a time. Okay, that one's burnt now. Burn the next one. Burn the next one, and that'll be good for my grass too. So, and of course there'll be like 2-3 inches of snow on the ground, so I'm not worried about fire or anything like that. The more I can do of that, the better. And then any wood that's big enough to like burn in the wood is going to go in the woodshed, right? So if it takes 5 years to dry, I don't care. It's like it's not going to take that long to dry. It's take about 6 months to dry properly, and then after 2 years of it being in there, like I'm finding wood in there. I found some nice beech wood in there, and maybe oak, little piles of it. It's like okay, that stuff's gonna, like that stuff has been drying for like decades in there because it's like the last wood stove that was used here was my grandmother, right? And that was my aunts and uncles took the wood stove out of here probably over 20 years ago, just because they didn't want my grandmother to burn the place down, right? So my grandmother was getting up there in years, and we didn't trust her, so they first they brought in oil heat, then they brought in the electric heat, and that's what's in here now is the electric heat, and we'll see what it does to my hydro bill. I'm thinking, it's going to be, I'm going to have a high hydro bill in the wintertime. I just don't think it's going to be as high as my brother's was. Just because my brother, like I say, my brother and my sister-in-law and my nephew, like they have every light on all the time, right? They have all these little decoration lights and stuff like. So there was all the stuff running all the time. They had the aquarium. They had other like all the stuff that they had running all the time, right? Where I've got the fridge running and I'm like contemplating, why I've got it plugged in, like I might just unplug it for like a week or so. I've got like one mustard bottle in there, but at some point I'm going to have like a whole bunch of food and stuff. But that fridge I'm probably going to downsize anyway, just because I don't need a large fridge, right? But that's not a priority. So it's like downsize if the opportunity comes up for like a free fridge that's smaller. You know what I mean? Then it's like, yeah, sure, no problem. Uh, I don't need a big freezer. My brother had a freezer on top of that. It's now at home, so there's two freezers at home, um, which is a lot. But if my dad gets a moose, it'll be full. Both of them will be full. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things. So today is more about getting that bin filled, burned a little bit of stuff, cleaned up the bricks. I got to find a place where I'm going to put my bricks because there's lots of bricks around here, and they're going to be used. I might make a fire pit in the middle of the field right there with some of the bricks, just as a containment, so it's just a little more contained or whatever. But I don't like the look of that. But there's all kinds of bricks around here, like little red bricks that I could use for gardening. I think that's what they were, was for the gardens and whatever. So as I clean up around the all the garden, all the grass is like really long, I'm gonna, in the spring, if I get a chance to whippersnip one more time around here for the fall, I'll do it. But I don't really think I need to do that. But in the spring, like I'm gonna have to start off mower the whole damn place, all that over there. Like enough grass and that has died that it's a good time to go in there with the whippersnipper if I can get a chance. Just take it down a bit because like it grows over so fast that the idea is to get all the brush out of there so that I can stay on top of the whippersnipping in there. And like I got to get a big spool of whippersnipper line because I'm going to go through lots of it, right? And but the sooner I can clean everything up once, then after that it's just a matter of just staying on top of it and eventually cutting all the little stubs down so that I can whippersnip without just losing line every five. I have to like put a new line on every 5 minutes. Uh, yeah. So there's stuff to do. There's lots and lots of stuff to do. But there's a process to it too. So there's a lot of hurry up and wait on some of the things. Because I do have a few expenses that are, like it's October, but I got to start thinking about what I'm going to do for Christmas, right? Christmas always wipes you out. Like October on is like the months where it's just like any sort of extra cash that you may have had, you have to kind of like hang on to it because it's like, it's when you get hit with these weird things, like Christmas and stuff like that. It just, but now I got to like go get a PO box, right? So it's mainly for like the one bill, but there's also too, I'm gonna, if I do mail orders and stuff like that, like stuff's gonna be coming here, right? Don't have anything right away that I'm gonna mail order, but like my next items on the list is like a bass amp and a guitar amp, right? But I can live without the bass amp for now. I might use my bicycle fund for that and start another bicycle fund in the spring, just because like the bicycle thing eventually is going to give way to a vehicle, right? So, but I do want a faster, lighter bike, just because if I have to be stuck pedaling, you know, uh, like I'm not really saving any extra money without the vehicle because of the way I run a vehicle. Like I don't drive for like I don't have the money to drive for leisurely anyway. So I just don't go on like, oh, okay, it's a nice evening. I'm just going to go on a nice cruise. I'd love to have that kind of money, right? But I just don't have that kind of money. You know what I mean? Um, like it's so I have to be very careful with how I spend. Almost got a vehicle this week, but what it was is my client, she bought a new car because her other car is like needed repairs. What it was the gas tank was leaking, so it was like each week it was like it was getting less and less that she could put in at a time. Um, so where exactly it was leaking from, it's hard to say. Could have been leaking like right from the from the where your gas cap filler tube, or gas filler tube could have been rotted out the bottom, so you only get like a bit of a tank in there, and as it slops around, it'd be like so like she'd be filling up and there'd be gas dripping on the ground. So that's probably what it was. Not a major thing, but like the month before she had to do the brakes and the brake lines, and then she had to do this, and then she had to do that, and like every month there's been something she's had to do to it, right? There was a whole bunch of steering problems, this problem, that problem. So she pulled the plate off of it. She thought about it after. She's like, "Oh, I could have sold it to you for like, for scrap. Like what, So I was telling her, yeah, send it for scrap. You might get $300 for it." I would have definitely given her $300 for that. For it was an HRR, right? So it's like good little utilitarian vehicle. Like you wouldn't believe the amount of tools I've packed in that little car. Or well, it's kind of like a PT Cruiser, so it's not little, but it's Um, so for $300, if I would have got it for $300, it'd be no problem. But she took the plate off it, which means now it has to be safety. That thing will never pass the safety. The rust, no. Again, I think the emergency brake was probably not working anymore. All the same things that all those vehicles need was rusted beyond belief. So but was what it was, and it's like. Like how far would that vehicle have gotten? Maybe a month, 2 months. You know what I mean? So it's like, it would have been a stopgap, but it's like again, it would be a vehicle you can't really truly rely on. It's just it would have been really really cheap, right? So like if you could have like like three vehicles, so like okay, you get 3 months out of this one, um, or 2 months out of it. It gives you enough time to save up for the next cheap one. Like you really don't want to pay too much for vehicles, but you also got to buy something good, and that's going to cost you, right? So, um, yeah, it just is what it is, and I think that whenever I do get my next vehicle, hopefully fairly soon, like people keep asking, when are you going to get a vehicle? As soon as one that's adequate pops up, within my price range, right? There's a lot of vehicles in my price range, but they're not very good shape. Like the Big Red Road Reaper, okay, I paid $500 for that. People are asking for, and because that car was going to go to the scrapyard anyway, and I managed to get 3 months out of it, right? There's cars in worse condition than that one, and they're asking like 2,500, whatever. Now I know a lot of people start off there and like they're asking 2,500, hoping they'll get 1,500, right? Because everybody wants to bring the price down. But it's like the ones at 1,500 you might get for 1,000 or $800, right? So it's just kind of like I'm looking for that person that is just getting rid of the vehicle because they just either have too many vehicles, but it's still a fine vehicle. There's nothing wrong with it. Doesn't need anything. Uh, you know what I mean? Like I missed out on one really good vehicle for sure, but my other vehicle was still running at the time, right? So yeah, it's always tough finding vehicles. Everybody's, well, just get a vehicle. Yeah, which one? Like you could throw money at anything. You know what I mean? And it's not as easy as just go out and buy. Like if you just go out and buy anything, and when you impulse buy stuff, it's like you always screw yourself over. You really do. Uh, like I'm a very patient man because I'm used to things failing all the time, right? In fact, I'm kind of surprised when they don't fail. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, it's not a question of am I going to get another vehicle. It's just, I got to get a vehicle that at least get a couple of years out of, so it gives me time to save up for the next vehicle. Because like the past couple of years, it's just like I get a year out of the vehicle or less. You know what I mean? And buying a vehicle every year, it's just like at some point you have to say, you know what, you got to just take a break from, the cheap vehicles and get something good. Uh, Now people will just go out and buy a new vehicle. Yeah. If you can afford the extra $600 to $1,000 a month, sure, fine. Yeah, good luck with that. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know how anybody can afford a new vehicle these days. That's crazy, absolutely crazy. I wish, like if I could afford a new vehicle, we wouldn't be having this conversation, right? So it's just I gotta wait till the right thing pops up, and for the right money, you know. So is what it is. But till that time, the charity of others is going to be what I'm going to be, uh, you know. But like people do pick me up and stuff like that. It's just like I could borrow my dad's truck once in a while, but I can't borrow it for like a whole work day kind of thing. You know what I mean? But this time of year, it's the down time of the year anyway. So it's like, yes, going through the winter without a vehicle is going to suck if I don't find one soon, right? Uh, is what it is. Wouldn't be the first time. Yes, it's depressing that you can't go anywhere, you can't do nothing. You have to borrow other people's vehicles and pray to God it doesn't break down while you're driving it. You know what I mean? It's like you almost have to drive those vehicles with a cold conscience, or you're just numb to it. Like it's just like whatever happens, happens. You just have to have that kind of frame of mind, because if you don't, like when it breaks down, you just gotta, like, don't get upset. Just, it is what it is. Keep your expectations low so you're never disappointed. You know what I mean? Devil's rejects. It's true though. It is so true. Like last year, like it's just like, okay, my only goal with my dad's little gray truck that I call Pops was, don't let it roll down the hill into somebody's house. You know what I mean? Because the thing would roll apart, right? Marvin, you're in my sink, buddy. I can still see your tail. Okay. So, yeah, see that little bugger, right? And there, out the window he goes. He's after my peanut butter can. Hey, Marvin, what are you doing? He's after my peanut butter can again. See, he's gonna come back in. I can just see you. He's just on the outside of the window there. He's just hanging out there. He's not doing anything. He was hiding in my sink, but I could see the top of his tail. Hey, Marvin, what are you doing? I'll see how close I can get to him again. Can't get in the other way, though, eh? I blocked it off on you. Yeah. What you doing, buddy? Eh? Hey, Marvin, what are you doing? You don't have to be antisocial. It's kind of rude to turn your back to people, eh? Yeah, I know. Yeah. All right. Yeah, like I didn't know you were there. Okay, anyway. That's Marvin.